Alright, welcome to today's tutorial. So today's tutorial is covering timecode. Timecode is basically the ability to sync multiple things with each other perfectly. So this is cameras or sound, video and lighting, etc., etc. So timecode is used when you want the show to execute exactly on the time it needs to, so there's no margin of error in what comes with triggering stuff by hand. This doesn't mean that timecode is perfect for everything. For example, timecode is definitely not perfect for theater because it's going to if a person stutters or skips a word or skips a line or somebody speaks when they aren't meant to, your entire show will be thrown off. So it just does not it won't work. So it's used in concerts, quite in like musical concerts that are rehearsed and are carrying a tour and are going across. Those use timecode, but EDM artists generally don't. Contrary to what you've heard, EDM artists LDs generally do not use timecode because it's impossible. So don't believe everything you hear. If you think they're using timecode, it's more of a compliment to the LD. So timecode in GrandMA2 is used to trigger existing functions, which you trigger when you're recording the timecode. We'll get to that in a bit. So there's two main types of timecode in MA. There's OTC, which is audio timecode. It's popular in concert scenarios because the audio guy can send you the LTC through his signal network, so it's pretty easy. And then the only issue is to get timecode into MA, you have to have a console, command wing, a fader wing, a replay unit, one of those. If you just need to get the SMPTE LTC track, there'll be a link down in the description that can give you the timecode, or you can use any DAW or DAW that you desire. The second is MIDI timecode, MTC. This is perfect for anyone that's using on PC because you can use a virtual MIDI interface like Loop BE1, which will be in the description as well, to get the timecode into your console, if you've got a command wing. Even though you have the LTC option, it's still pretty nice if you're running an okay show. So you can use the affordable and free for 60 days versions of Reaper, which we'll link down below, which is what we'll use in this tutorial. Yeah, and so being that working with LTC or MTC in MA2 doesn't make a difference in setup and stuff, we are just going to cover MTC. So we're going to drop into Reaper now to configure that. It's fairly simple. Right-click, insert new track. Next, say insert SMPTE LTC/MTC timecode generator. Then you want to I'm just going to zoom out. You can use the minus key to zoom out. I'm just going to set this to about there, just so that I've got a bit of length. The next thing you want to do is you want to go into the root settings, and you want to click master send off. I'm going to play you timecode so that you can understand why this is needed. I'll warn you now. That's why you don't want it sent to your masters. So just switch off master send. Next, go to MIDI hardware output and switch on loop B internal MIDI. There'll be a link to this in the description. You have to install this before anything will work. Next, you're going to want to go into, you're going to want to right click on the timecode generator, source properties, simply send it to send MIDI, MTC, press apply, go OK. Next, hop into options, preferences, MIDI devices, and make sure, MIDI devices under audio, make sure loop B internal MIDI is enabled. If it says disabled, just right click on it, enable input, apply. Okay, we are now done in Reaper. So obviously then you can add your music onto another track. If you are using it with music and not just the timecode, generally an offset of about 1 second from where the timecode starts to where the music actually starts is recommended. So I guess let's hop in to MA2 now, so we can set up MA. Once you're in MA, you're going to first need to configure the MTC input. So first click on this little yellow ball, and options, MIDI, just click on this to get loop B internal MIDI. Next, we want to hop into setup, network, and MA network configuration. And here under on PC, you'll see that MIDI TC is set to TC slot 2. I'm going to leave it because if you want to change it to 1, that's fine. But generally you don't need to. So now let's create what I think is a good view for timecode. Obviously, this will all be in the description. First, you want a timecode view because you'll see why in a bit, but this will allow you to graphically see what your timecode is doing. Next, you want an actual timecode pool so that you have the timecode stuff. If you're going to be changing slots, which we'll explain a bit later, you're going to need one of those as well. And finally, you will need a clock. See, the clocks aren't just for show in MA. So we're going to need all of that, and then we're going to store this to a view down here. As always, the timecode or the tutorial for timecode will be in the description below. So now a timecode pool item, this is a timecode slot. A timecode pool item is where all the stuff is stored. So we're going to quickly store a timecode, and I'm just going to label this. We're just going to label this tutorial. Now, if we select this, it'll link it to our timecode view here, and we're going to go through all the different parts of timecode. The reason I say you need this is to actually access certain settings. So to get to there, just press edit and tap on the top here. So the first thing is name. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's obviously is what you want the name of the current pool item to be. Next is the slots. So you can either just say internal or you can say link selected, which is if you're going to use multiple slots. As you tap on them in the pool, as in here, as you tap on them here, it all relates to this. We're going to leave it as intern. Length is time after which the timecode is finished. Will it stop or pause? Offset is like if timecode at 12 seconds, what's your timecode at? If that makes sense. Runs is when you set the slot to internal, you're able to keep the timecode pool without any timecode start running in this case. But if you want to repeat it, you can obviously just set it to repeat through once it stops. Switch off is basically will it switch off the playbacks that it used when it's finished, because as I said, it's using functions that already exist, or will it just keep the playbacks on? Status call is when you start a timecode in between two queues, the status call will switch on that event so that it can be executed when the timecode signal comes in. Then a time unit is what you're using, which can leave it at 1/100th frames a second, 1/100th, even though, or you can set to 30, whatever your timecode is in. Then when ending, what will it do? Will it stop or pause? When the timecode ends, when stopping, what does it do? Rewind, do nothing. And that is about it. And then auto start just means will it start when it automatically has a timecode, or will it wait? We're going to leave this off. User bits. MA says this, do not change this unless someone who is supplying the timecode says you should change it. So leave it. And info is if you want to have any info in your timecode show that you might need. Cool. So recording the show. So for the first thing I should probably clarify is that in MA here, I've created a pretty simple little queue list. You should always run from a queue list. You shouldn't be busting it as you go to record it. So I've got a pretty simple queue list here that has all of its timings. Sorry, I'm used to my other fader setup. All of its timings in it already. That just goes through a pretty simple little movement kind of thing. So the first thing I want to show you, the first thing I actually want to hop into is you're going to want to change the system clock to timecode, and then the timecode slot to 2. So now if I hop into Reaper and I press play, you see that we are indeed getting a timecode. Cool. So let's push this to the beginning here. So then to record the show, it's pretty simple. You press MA plus store, that brings record, and you press start. This will start it automatically. So don't do that until you have started your timecode. So let's switch that off. You can switch it off just here and rewind the timecode. So bring it back down here. Cool. So we're going to go in for easier recording. Just disable auto start because it will overwrite the record command when timecode is started. So we're gonna basically come here. And there's one setting I need to change is just set this to TC slot 2. So now when we press record, it will wait for timecode to come through. Then once timecode comes through, you'll see that it will begin to record. So we're going to rewind this because we aren't going to be using it. We are going to be. So we're going to hop into Reaper now. We're going to make sure we're ready to go. And then you've got to remember that once you start the timecode, it's going to record any actions you do. We'll get back to editing that in a bit now. But that's just a heads up, so you don't do anything that you don't want happening in the actual show. So as I said, MA plus store, hit that. So now it is waiting for timecode signal. Start your timecode, and you can see that it's now coming through. So we're going to begin the show. So we're going to go down. We're going to hit go to take it back. going to hit go again. I'm just going to cycle through all four so that you see what it's doing. And there. And now I'm going to dim it out. And that is it. You can now hop back into your door and press stop. And then obviously it'll obviously automatically stop in MA. So then once that's done, you can just press the stop button and you have now recorded your show. So let's hop back just into MA. You can see here on the timecode display that it has been recorded. You can see if we run it won't run because it hasn't got timecode yet. But now, say you messed up, because we all mess up, we are human, and you need to change something. So if we quickly just hop into the timecode here, you can see that you actually have a view of what's going on in terms of like what it is. So if we just set this to internal so it'll play, you can see that if we run through it, it is actually executing everything. Why is it not running across? Edit timecode. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I messed up. So once you want to, if you want to edit your timecode because you messed up or you want something to be just a bit earlier than it was, simply tap the timecode, press edit timecode, and now you can actually see that you've got all the things. So if you can add, copy, and paste all the things using down here. So obviously, if you want this, you can press copy event and then where you want it to go, and then obviously paste event wherever it is. But I'm just going to oops that because I don't want to do that. You can manage the tracks. So if you want to remove them, you can deactivate them, or you can remove them altogether, or you can delete them altogether. And then if you want to move stuff, it's pretty simple. You can select what you want to move, and then you can literally use the encoder wheel up here to move it. I, again, don't want to. And then on top, there's some zoom functions. So if you want to zoom in to get a more precise feel, you can. So that's it for editing it. Now to running the show. So if you want to, alright, so we're now in MA. So what we're going to do is we want to run the show, obviously. It's pretty simple. You select your show, press play, and obviously it isn't going to do anything because it hasn't got the time code yet. Make sure it's 0. If you're not, just press rewind. Press play because so that it's ready to go. Now hop into your door. We're going to just press play, and if we hop into MA, you can see we are getting time code, and now it will execute the show. So you can see our first queue is running there. Our second queue is going to run. Shortly, our third queue will run. And finally, our fourth queue. So yeah, it's pretty simple. So you can, as always, after cleaning it up, after cleaning it up and making the show perfect, you can press play in the door, grab some popcorn, and enjoy the show. So I guess that rounds off today's video. As always, if you have any questions, just pop them in the comments down below. This show file will, as always, there'll be a link to it in the description if you want to try it out for yourself. Links to repo will be in the description. Loop B1 will be in the description of the other website we told you about, all in the description. So we hope you have a lot of fun with timecode. I personally am not a fan of timecode, but who knows, for your situation, it might be perfect. So yeah, as I said, any further questions, drop them in the comments below. And for a faster Q&A experience, you can join our Discord community server, which, as always, link in the description below. So yeah, beyond that, don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in more tutorials like this. If you have a friend that wants to do an MA, send them a link. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Cheers!